before, we then have a daisy chain mechanism regardless of the power that we have in the home, assuming we have batteries, which of course I hope we all do, because then our FRS radios, we can connect to ham radios, which can connect down to the headquarters for deployment of 911 services in the event of fire, heart attack, or anything else. So a part of your readiness as a person who lives in a high-risk area includes communication training and having the facilities that you need to be able to get around multiple scenarios, not just a fire, not just an earthquake, not just a boulder rolling down the hill, but everything up to and including a tied-in communication network that will work with the city, which has a response center ready to roll all the time.
So I will pass that suggestion on
Thank
to
you.
our team, and as we work with the different agencies involved, we can do that. Can you repeat the name of?
The acronym is RACES. It's radio,
RACES.
RACES, yeah, sorry, RACES. I didn't mean that to sound wrong.
Okay.
And OFD's headquarters response center is, and you can call OFD.
Yeah, perfect. It sounds like Les, our public safety specialist, knows about it.
No, and to your point, being a core member, being active in your neighborhood, being prepared, that's a message not in the Oakland Hills, not just the Oakland Hills, but everywhere. Get involved in your community and do those things. And to your point, the communication with the races, those are things we haven't reached out to do yet, and so that's now on our list, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey, Lynn.
Yeah, I really liked the one slide you had about the 15 feet off the trees and the 15 feet away from the poles. You know, there's one thing that all of us here, maybe not up in the rebuilt fire area from 91, but all of us can do is to clear. If you have a pole with a distribution line on it, which I do in my backyard, make sure that you've got, 15 feet on each side of that pole so that everybody here, I bet, has a big patch of ivy growing right up a tree next to their house that they haven't taken care of. And that would be really helpful. Just a small thing for each of us to do is to clear away from the poles that are in our neighborhood.
Yeah, great point. So this program will be coming through all the Tier 3 areas, and PG&E will be looking to do that activity, right? Remove that fuel from around the poles and stuff. So
Comment. This looks nothing like any of the areas in our hills. So I think somebody needs to update your pictures.
Yes.
If I was to do 15 feet from your pole by my house, I'd be in my neighbor's front yard or their door or their living room. I mean, we don't have that luxury of clearing as much as you think we should clear. So if you're going to show us these pictures, can they be reasonable?
So every community we go to says that because their community looks different in some way, right?
But
So
there's no hills in there, and there's no hills. You don't see a
That's not a
single
fire
hill,
area.
and you don't see
These are both
houses all
fire
around
areas.
the poles.
So what Tier 3 looks like throughout the state is very different.
I
There are
understand.
subdivisions that look like Tier 3. Your area looks hilly and no sidewalk roads and all that kind of
And
tough
there's no way I
access.
can do 15 feet. I'm sorry that I would try.
I
But
think
there
you'd be
isn't.
surprised
Yeah.
by 15 feet is not as much as you think from the pole.
My neighbor's fence is right on the pole. You've put poles, you actually put power lines on trees.
Well, do what you can
Yeah,
because
I
it would be
have, and what I'm saying
appreciated.
is that you're asking people to do things, and I don't think, what we get from this, and it's a comment, you guys, I've really appreciated this, but if you're gonna do this, at least make it so that people go out in the hills and see. I mean, even some sort of comment that this isn't where we live.
So I want to clarify
Yeah.
a couple of things. One is, we're not asking the customers or you guys to do this is example of what we're going to be doing. This is Matt's team, this is Brian's team. And they're going to be proactively going out there and doing this work. Now, every scenario is going to be a little bit different, and they're going to be targeting every scenario in a tailored manner, custom to your specific location, but they're going to be using those parameters. So that's just a graphic for you to kind of understand what that means.
But I would add, if you live in a tier 3 area, CAL FIRE's expectations is that you have 30 feet of defensible space around your property, around your buildings, around your structures. And really, they recommend 100 feet, right?
I understand, I'm just laughing because what you're saying to me is perfect, I agree, and I really do try every year to do the best I can. But what I'm hearing from you in my head, you haven't seen our neighborhood.
I've been through your neighborhoods, I've been
So
through
you
it all.
would know that it's
No, guys, we
unreasonable.
live in a different reality than when your house was built and when your lot was constructed in that way.
Exactly.
And what your regulators and lawmakers are saying is that you live in a high fire threat zone, and the way that your neighborhood is set up is challenging from a fire mitigation perspective. And if you have ivy running up to next to your house, you're not in compliance with the
So,
defensible zone
We
expectations.
have tried for over 20 years to get this neighborhood undergrounded to help you. And we have been unsuccessful because of the CPUC and PG&E fighting over this. We have been trying, we're up for it, and when you said it was just money, it really isn't the money now, it's the politics. And if somebody could stop some of the politics, we could be more helpful. We have neighborhoods that are willing to spend $17,000, $18,000 to go ahead and make this work better for everybody. But we can't because between the city and CPUC and you guys, you can't say, okay, you can go ahead and do this.
But it's useless if you're underground, because we did, and we're still being cut
No,
off.
the problem is that it won't be an issue for them anymore. And it saves you a ton of money because you're not gonna have to do all this clearing.
Undergrounding is a complex issue, I
Yes.
agree, right? We're regulated by the CPUC. They have certain rules that we have to follow and play under those scenarios. Undergrounding is a good solution in some cases. It's not a panacea in all cases. Undergrounding the lines is a very intrusive process that often results in the loss of the vegetation that we would have had to clear for this vegetation management program anyway. So it's a complex issue. I understand the frustration. And we are working through the undergrounding rules with CPUC right now. There are ongoing, process to revisit the undergrounding rules, the Rule 20 stuff.
Right, and that was my question. In your updating your hardwired stuff, nothing was about undergrounding. You didn't even comment about it, so I was kind of curious. You don't think PG&E isn't encouraging that undergrounding would help some of these problems?
We're interested in continuing to explore undergrounding, and we're interested in working with the CPUC to adjust the rules around that, right? So, as I said, there's an ongoing proceeding to revisit the undergrounding rules. Under the current rules, it's not a quick solution, et cetera. So, it's not something we can implement everywhere. It's not a solution for every homeowner, and certainly not in the immediate future, not for this wildfire season, not for next wildfire season. So we're taking other actions to make sure that we create as much mitigation as we can.
I think it's important to contact your legislature. Nancy Skinner, go to her website. It's very easy to communicate with her. She's on the CPUC, I believe, right?
No.
And so
Is she?
she was part of writing one of those, 1088, I believe. So I want you to do that. I mean, she has more power than I certainly do.
So are you working with AT&T? I pay $60, $70 a month to get a landline so that when you turn off my power, I can still have communication. Are you ensuring that that landline will in fact stay action when you turn off the power?
So we've been in touch with AT&T. We've shared our plans with them. We partner with them when we have an emergency. They're part of our emergency operations plan. That's a question for AT&T, right? Which is if power to their facilities.
They say yes, but I don't think they have really checked into it.
So I don't know about how landlines are operated by AT&T, but we have been in contact with them about how our process works, what we would turn off, etc. And they are making their plans. If they're saying that yes, it should work, then I would trust
You know, one of the things I want to talk about,
Yeah, can I make a suggestion? I think, we've had an opportunity for an hour and a half for Matt to have this presentation, do the Q&A. There's been a lot of questions asking specifically about work that's being done in this area right now. Brian is here. Brian's part of our local leadership team. He can give you guys examples of work that's coming up specifically for vegetation management. and specifically the areas that are happening around here, and what's the plan over the next, number of months. And I think you guys would be interested in hearing that as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Matt, a little bit of
Yes.
overview.
Yes.
So why don't we slide Brian in?
Absolutely. All right, so yes, Brian Biancardi, the Vegetation Management Supervisor with for the Bay Area. We're doing a lot of work right now currently in the Montclair area here. So you'll see my Davy trucks. What they're doing right now is they're working on these increased clearances that are taking place because of those new CPUC regulations. Previously, this was an area where 18 inches between the wires and vegetation was the law. And in December that changed, it became 4 feet. So now we're coming through and we're getting a lot more clearance, right? So that's happening currently. It happened within the last month over on Claremont. And we still have some work over on Alvarado that's going on right now for those folks that are over there. There was a reconductoring project that installed the tree wire, right, the insulated wire that was part of the system hardening. And there was a lot of vegetation work that took place in order to prepare for that, which is actually happening over on Fish Ranch and Grizzly Peak as well. So you may have seen a lot of work going on with the Davy crews. And I've got some other contractors in place as well. So you're seeing a lot of this work take place right now. So I want to make sure everyone's aware. We've gotten a lot of calls about debris left over. I want to make sure that if there is debris left over, that you are making me aware of it and giving me a call, because we want to make sure that's cleaned up. Make sure that the contractors are actually doing what we're paying them to do, right? So that's what's going on right now. Are there any questions about that increased clearance work? Right? Everyone should have gotten a letter that's in Tier 3 or Tier 2. Right? So you asked about what can we do to help you out. So we've got a team of inspectors that go out and they inspect lines on an annual basis, right? And they're looking for trees that need to be trimmed. So what you could do is allow them to do the work. Removing trees instead of just pruning trees helps us, right? It helps keep the cost down for the ratepayers, right? Because we have to do the work once instead of doing the work every year or every month. It's cheaper to do, and we're all funded through ratepayer dollars, right? It's just pass-through costs. So everything we can do to keep down the costs is better. Plus, that tree that's removed is then not fuel for a possible fire.
But the electricity is turned off, so it won't cause a fire. I mean, all this.
Exactly.
All this,
He's right.
right, but all this work that he's doing, all this money they're doing.
Stop.
No, just let me say that. All this work,
You're
just
saying it all
let me
right.
just say that. All the work that you're doing right now will do nothing for a fire because the electricity is turned off. The only thing it will do will be easier to get the power back on. And so we haven't heard anything saying what you're doing to keep the electricity on, which is the important thing about the feeds to our area.
So we mentioned what can we do to keep this isolated, and that's having large fire defense zones, right? If we have 15 feet from each side of the lines, it's going to be a lot less likely that we need to turn off the power, right? So helping us do this work, allowing us to do this work, is a great way to help us.
So who is going to tell us?
There was a question over here, sir.
Yeah, the streets that you happen to mention where you're doing work is actually generally north of Montclair. Montclair includes Shepherd Canyon and some other canyons that are highly treed that were not involved in the previous firestorm.
Yeah.
So one is when you're gonna get to that area.
Because
And
they were
then
on
the
my
other
street.
thing is,
They were in Shepherd
could we
Canyon.
have your email or the email that we should tell people to use if they see a problem with trees very close to those high power lines,
Yep.
so that hopefully you can get to them before September?
No, absolutely. So I mentioned Grizzly Peak, Fish Ranch. I know the area pretty well. I live here. It's not in Montclair, obviously. But we are doing work there. We've done a lot of that work. We're cleaning up just the Alvarado area, Alvarado Road. We had put a lot of no parking signs out, and they unfortunately were moved when we tried to go do the work. So not moving no parking signs really helps us to get the work done. But we also have most of our crews currently in the Piedmont Pines, Montclair area doing work. So some of you may have seen the Davy trucks.
Extensive.
And in our street today.
Yeah,
Extensive.
sir?
This will shock some of you all. You're talking about how can you use a phone when there's power out? We discovered several years ago at our cabin up in the Sierras that if you have a rotary dial phone, it will work without power because it clicks as opposed to having.
You have to have power because it's an electrical signal.
No, you don't.
No, it's not.
The lines carry.
Yes, you do. It's
Yes.
a great thing I pay for. I want an old phone. If they go down because it's linked to the electrical wires,
Because
they're
the-
wrong, it's just a won't work. It's
You
gonna go
say
down.
power,
Yes.
but not a rotary.
I used it in a power failure and it worked.
Right, but I have a regular phone that will work without power.
I think it's probably not a problem we're gonna solve today, but it's also,
You're taking it out. Talk to
I
AT&T.
think,
Ask Leslie.
Pam,
I'm
we
answering
should
him.
prepare
Talk to me.
and test this out, right? If you have a rotary phone and you need to make sure that it works during power outage, test it out,
I talked to them.
right?
They are.
If getting a ham radio, I have one myself.
Not my phone. My phone is-
Making sure that works and you know the emergency stations, then absolutely. But I'm an arborist, I know trees, so I'm gonna keep it there.
I would like to know, what are the North Hills, what is preventing us from keeping our power on? Is there a person that can answer us? Which are the circuits that are in the way?
So you're talking about the Hiller Highlands area, is
That area, yes,
Absolutely.
that's probably 2,000 homes.
So I know it well,
Yeah.
but I don't know which circuit it's fed from. And the other problem.
Where
is
can I get the
that-
information from?
We can talk after the
Again, I think
presentation.
go to the website.
I've been to, I have contacted PG&E and asked questions, I don't get answers. I tried this several
There's
times.
4 of us here today. We
Okay.
can take you aside after this
Okay.
meeting and we can walk you through the steps one more time.
And the other question is, when you turn.
One second,
Yeah.
on that. The other problem is that circuits change. It's not
It's not
static.
static.
Right, so things change, they have things called switches, power comes from different directions, so the answer I give you now may be different tomorrow, unfortunately, right? So keep that in mind. It's a.
Well,
it's a
when they
dynamic
decide,
system.
when they decide to turn off power, will they have that information at hand?
Yes.
And what's gonna happen to the
Howard?
schools?
Howard,
Yeah,
so let's
okay, but
take
this is
this
a
offline.
general thing. If they turn power off, we're gonna have a public health, we're gonna have people looting if we leave the area. There's gonna be a police problem. Is the police informed? The other thing is, what about all the schools in our neighborhood that
They're all
happen
gonna be
when
shut
things
down.
get turned down?
Let's
I mean, this
burn
is,
instead.
Schools are.
I think it's.
Good thing you don't live in Denver and have a snow day.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible
To answer.
to answer everything. I mean, just like in 91, it wasn't possible to anticipate what happened. You know, even though they thought they had the fire out on Saturday, we learned a lot.
but we know these things are gonna happen, it's gonna happen. If you
You
pull
can't
power
do that.
off when there's a school, or if we don't have power for 10 days, you need to make plans, because this is a.
That's what
no-
we're
That's exactly right.
That's exactly.
That's exactly right. You have to make plans. You have to know what you're gonna do.
Food for your children and lots of board games.
We are.
Well,
I
I
am
don't
not
have
with the
anyone from the
city.
city here.
Howard, I'm sitting right here. I talked to.
We've met with the city of Oakland.
Council member's
I met with the
assistant
city
is
of
right
Oakland.
there. The city auditor is behind you. We are all in communication with them. And fully aware of what's going on. That's the importance of this
They should be
meeting,
telling
to
us.
inform you.
No, they're learning too, but they're asking questions.
They have a month.
Okay, I want to thank Brenda Roberts, since we now have blown her cover here. She wanted to come tonight. She does have audits that you are welcome to take with you, and also.
Including the one on vegetation management.
Okay, and there's a sign-up sheet here, right?
Yes, if you want to be on our distribution list, if you could sign in here, we'll make sure that you're getting updates and audits and other communication.
And then you can email her.
Do you want?
My card's here as well.
Carolyn?
Okay, so last thing from PG&E, that table back there has a number of different collateral, a number of different descriptions of different programs, including the fire safety zone, fire defense zones, some of the information on the public safety power shutoff. So feel free to take as much of that as you'd like. A lot of it is connected to the same stuff that's on this website, pgne.com/wildfire safety. But feel free to take those. we will be hanging around, so if people have individual questions, feel free to come up to myself, Vitaly, Brian, or Les. So I know that this is a challenging topic. We all wish we didn't live in this circumstance. We all wish we weren't in a high fire threat area. We all wish the new normal of wildfire considerations wasn't what it is. As the fire department mentioned, we're doing our best, okay? We're taking it seriously. This is not a shotgun, we're just gonna try something and see what happens. We're trying to let people know, we're trying to communicate with everyone we can. We're making our plans, we're making sure that the telecoms have plans, that the school district has plans, that the city has plans, but this could be challenging. I mean, this is a serious threat. The wildfire risk is considerable. We're taking it seriously, and we're hoping that by educating folks, you can all be prepared as possible for something that is a significant inconvenience, and we completely understand and appreciate that.
Sue, you had a comment?
Yes, if any of you are doing National Night Out next week, take the stuff with you.
Wow. And to your neighbors. And thank you to the North Hills Community Association for allowing us the opportunity.
Thank you, PG&E.
Thank you, PG&E, for coming, and for all of the people who came here. The North Hills Community Association has these meetings periodically, quarterly. Thanks to Carolyn. We do have a meeting next month, as a matter of fact, right here. And we're going to talk about safety in the hills and the CORE program.
August 24th.
August 24th. And so it behooves everybody who wants to be concerned about safety and who needs to understand all of this stuff. And we'll have some information about the radio systems we were just talking about. Should be here. And please invite your friends. If you want information, this is a place to get it.
And I have a quick question. I'd like a show of hands to see how many people